Hi everyone, welcome to a historical edition of Cabin Crafts. And today I wanted to talk to you all about early American coverlets. And I brought some examples today to talk about. And I have a lot of woven things on the website and they're currently on sale right now. And I was thinking about that and I thought I need to go into a history of these things because they're absolutely wonderful and beautiful. And I've got some antique examples to show you as well as some modern ones. And we're going to talk a little bit about woven coverlets. So um, these were very popular in the colonial period up until like after the Civil War. So I don't know how good you can see this one, but this is an antique one. And as you can see, the edge is fraying on this one, so I'm going to need to try to figure out a way to repair this. But when I say, so there's holes in it. When I say coverlet, I mean this is like bed size. This would go over a whole bed. This one I would say would be more like a little twin or maybe a full at the very most. So there is that one. And of course this one is natural. The off-white color is natural and the blue is indigo. So this is natural dye, all natural dye. Beautiful, beautiful. The next one I have is underneath this one. Look at this beauty. Now this is probably queen size. This is in mint condition, which tells me it's either a fairly new weave, because there are people that still do this, or this is like an orange color, and I guess that's the original color, and then an indigo, so some sort of a natural dye. But whether or not it's an antique, it is actually hand woven on a loom. And so women would weave this at home, and their looms were fairly narrow, so they would have a seam going up the middle because they would sew the two halves together to make a full-size coverlet. And so it would always have a seam down the middle. I have a few of them in my collection that have a seam down the middle of them. And all of my antique ones, I've just kind of picked up at antique malls and places, and I've not paid more than $50 for one that I can think of, maybe 75 at the most, but you can still find these, especially east. And for me to find as many as I've found west of the Mississippi, that's pretty good. That means there's still quite a few of them out there. And then I brought this one to show you. This is a new one. It's in very primitive colors. And when I say new, I got it about, maybe 10 years ago, maybe even a little longer than that. But this is more like a blanket, and it's very soft because it's 100% cotton. And this was made by family heirloom weavers in Red Lion, Pennsylvania. Now they're using machines that are Civil War era. So this was made about 10-15 years ago on a mid 19th century loom. They still run, which is very, very cool. And then also what I wanted to talk about was there are two different types of weave in a coverlet or a bed cover. And it's called, I brought these little pillows to show you, geometric, which like this one. Now these are pillows made from antique coverlets. These are the real thing, but there's pieces of them because some of them have so many holes. But this is a geometric type of pattern. And then you have what's called jacquard weave or figural or floral motif coverlets. This is just like one piece of a coverlet that was covered with lots and lots of flowers, plant motifs, things like that. Those are called figural coverlets. So you have geometric and figural. Now, this one that's got all the floral and everything, this one would have been woven on what's called a jacquard loom. You've heard of jacquard fabric, and I know you've seen what it looks like. And so it's a punch card system. It almost looks like in the very early days of computers where they used punch cards. That's what it looks like. And so the machine can read the pattern for the weave. So this is a jacquard loom that made this one. So then I want to talk about some of the modern ones that I carry. So this is one of the Christmas ones. This is a little table square. This is like red and green. It's just folded in half, but it's 34 inches square. And so this would be considered a geometric motif. Like I said, it's in Christmas colors. And then here's another one. This one is not on the internet. This is in my shop because I only have one. If somebody really, really wants it, you can call me and get it, and I'll invoice you. It is on sale for $47.95. And this is a throw. And this is called Liberty Square. And the colors are black, brick, and cream. But this is another example of geometric coverlets. Geometrically woven coverlets. So if you were an 18th century housewife, more than likely you knew how to weave, and you would have possibly woven things like this. But what I really wanted to talk about is weavers can be either men or women in the 18th and early 19th century. Daniel Boone's family was actually a family of weavers. All of the women folk and even some of the men in his family were weavers, and they knew how to weave cloth. Now these antique ones, like I said, these really soft ones, this is 100% cotton, and that's what mine are that I sell in the shop. These are scratchy. These are a combination of linen and wool. And so the off-white background, which is on a loom, it would be the warp. It's all the white threads. All the off, and that's the warp. You're going to warp your loom, which is all of those base background threads. And it takes hours. Sometimes a big loom can take all day just to get it warped with all of these strings that you're going to weave through. And then the colored ones are called the weft, and they're made out of wool. So the off-white ones are linen, the warp strings are linen, and the weft strings are wool. So if you've ever heard the term, it's even in that movie, The Outlaw Josie Wales, Lindsay Woolsey. If you've ever read, like, I think it's in some of the Little House on the Prairie books, she talks about a Lindsay Woolsey. This is a Lindsay Woolsey because it's linen and wool mixed together to make the weave. So the background, the long white strings, that's the warp, and that's linen. And they will weave in and out of those white strings with this dyed wool. And this is indigo and probably, I don't know, maybe madder. But that's wool. The colored ones are wool, and they will be woven in patterns in and out of the white linen strings. So this is Lindsay Woolsey fabric. The same thing with this antique one. I can feel the soft and I can feel the scratchy wool. This one's definitely Lindsay Woolsey also. Now something biblical I'm going to insert in here is Leviticus 19:19. So, you know, Leviticus is all about the law, you know, the law of Moses. To Jewish people, the first 5 books of the Bible are the law, the Torah, the Pentateuch. They call it Torah. It's the 5 books of Moses. And Leviticus has all of the laws that the Jewish people are supposed to follow. And one of them is very interesting. It has to do with this. It says in Leviticus 19:19 that you shall not wear any garments that are made of 2 different woven materials. You can't mix 2 different materials together to make a garment. And it's mentioned in the Bible, linen and wool. So people are, nowadays, they're like, why would God care whether or not you had a garment made of linen and wool together? You know, does that mean nowadays we can't do that? No, not at all. So the Levitical priests, the Levites who became the priest, their their ephods, that's that piece that they wear that's got the 12 stones for the 12 tribes of Israel. Their ephods are woven of linen and wool, linsey woolsey. So it's probably put you normal people, that is set aside for the priesthood. That's a sanctimonious thing that they're wearing, that ephod that represents the 12 tribes of Israel. So they're separating that out and saying no one can wear that mixture of those two fabrics except the high priest, the Levitical priests that are in the Old Testament. So their ephods are linsey woolsey, but it says that no one else can wear garments of mixed materials. So that is a little bit of history about coverlets. I thought the biblical part was pretty interesting myself, because I always wondered, why can't they wear linsey woolsey? What difference does it make if it's, linen and wool? Linen's a plant material, wool is from sheep, obviously, and so I thought, what was the big difference? Well, then I did some research and found out it's because of that special ephod, which represents the 12 tribes of Israel, that only the priest can wear that kind of garment. So there you go. So nobody needs to wig out on a branch and says we can't wear, I'm going to have to wear 100% hemp clothing. No, you're okay. We're okay. But I just thought that was neat. After the Civil War, the Industrial Revolution just really took over in America, and things just took off exponentially, that were being made by machine. And so these big looms, and that's when you see children going into child labor, working in the cotton mills, and all those horrible pictures. And it really didn't stop in America until after World War II. I mean, from the Civil War, which is the 1860s, to the World War II, which would have been 1939 to 45. So not quite 100 years, but we were a powerhouse of production during that time. And so was Great Britain. And it actually started in Great Britain before it really took off in Great Britain, much more so than America. And for a while, so whenever you read Charles Dickens novels, you hear about all of the little orphan children and how they lived and worked in these factories that Great Britain had, and especially in the textile industry, and also in America, and how smoggy the city was with all of the soot and smoke that was going over the city of London because of all the industrial going on there. And then you have your little chimney sweeps because everything is so black and sooty. And so, when we think of London, we kind of get that Charles Dickens picture in our mind of a sooty black city with little infants, or little orphans running around. And I always think of Oliver Twist and things like that when I think of Victorian England. Victorian England was the height of the Industrial Revolution there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the short little tutorial on hand woven coverlets. I'd like to make one of these days, but I think maybe if I do, I'll just start with a pot holder. That's probably about all I'd have the patience to do right now. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.